So Gabriel had found him. He's like, Mom, he's gone. Man, I mean, what do you mean? He said he's dead. He killed himself.
Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Hit the subscribe button and like this episode. The Sister Wives episode last week was brutal. The Brown family discussed openly and tearfully the unimaginable passing of Garrison Brown. Devoted fans have been following the family during their struggles for years, but no one expected this tragedy. The polygamous family agreed to be videotaped by TLC when they were most vulnerable. Once again, Janelle Brown was the anchor that kept her family intact as far as Garrison Brown's loss was concerned. Janelle Brown speaks openly as fans witnessed her recounting the horrific moment she got the call that told her her precious baby had passed away. Janelle was open, yet the 6-times mom has managed to cope with her loss in a way Sister Wives viewers can only praise. Now that the first anniversary has come and gone, she thanked her fans on Instagram after Sunday's episode aired. To accept that we did what we could do eventually took some time. The TLC star opened up that occasionally the mind makes one believe that there is no hope when actually there is, all the signs pointing to it. I found myself becoming deeply aware of how much I require this new start somewhere else after spending the previous week in Flagstaff. Everywhere I turned, I saw indications of Garrison everywhere. Throughout the episode, fans learned that Garrison had been struggling since CO19. Janelle insists that he would sometimes get into drinking binges, and often they ended in blackouts. I'm so thankful for all my kids and most of all for my grandbabies. They are just life-giving, she told her fans. And I know that I will see Garrison again due to my faith. That promise makes me so at peace. Janelle Brown spoke openly on the final day of Garrison Brown's life. Fans learned even more from the Sister Wives episode than they could have ever guessed. Janelle spoke of Garrison's last hours on Earth with the help of her daughter Maddie Brown. She and her child had been texting all day long, and that was not typical because he and I spoke perhaps 3 times a day. Janelle spoke regarding Garrison's struggles with depression and anxiety. I knew that he was struggling as she described that her and Garrison's last conversation wasn't an odd one. Janelle said, and I just simply picked up the phone and I always just make sure to just speak with him. It was just I suppose he needed the bond. She explained that Sister Wives fans realized that since Garrison had been intoxicated a lot, Janelle was not worried that he stopped responding at that specific time. As she retired for the night, she was sure Hunter Brown and Logan Brown had vowed to look in on him. She explained to cameras he would have periods where he was actually very good, and then he just would have a binge as part of the cycle. She discovered the next morning that Garrison had taken his own life. Janelle Brown handled Kody Brown with much dignity. I know that most Sister Wives viewers detest Kody Brown and are standing there carrying symbolic pitchforks and torches. Janelle did not utter anything negative about her ex-husband, however. Instead, they agreed to bury their beloved son in the family burial site in Wyoming after they had made arrangements at the funeral home. Kody and I agreed that we would cremate him, Janelle stated tearfully. We did so because I knew that is what he wanted. Both of them agreed that he enjoyed being there, and that way it gives us the opportunity to have the funeral during a more favorable time of year, so it was only appropriate. Kody agreed with his ex-wife. I was there with Janelle and I was just talking, hey, I really just want to take my boy home, he told the cameras. We all felt that it would be the right thing to bury him beside Grandma Cheryl when I was saying that we take him back to Wyoming. Most of them criticize Kody because they feel that he contributed a lot to Garrison's misery. The patriarch's COVID-19 rules sparked a severe feud between the son and father. Kody even tried to evict his son from his mother's home at some point. The 6-time mom has always been a strong family pillar. She is also determined to become the beacon of hope for her other kids despite losing her son. The passing away of Garrison Brown is still deeply felt by the Sister Wives family. Janelle Brown is speaking openly about the TLC singer's choice to bury her child in Wyoming as they try and come to terms with life without one of their family members. Why did the Sister Wives family bury Garrison Brown in Wyoming? It was not long before Janelle and Kody Brown decided where they would lay to rest their beloved son in the latest episode of Sister Wives. The Browns have a deep history in Wyoming. The 6-time mother revealed, my mom and Kody's dad are both there, and I want to place Garrison beside my mom. The Equality State is very special to the hearts of Janelle, Kody, and Garrison. He was highly impacted by his experience, Janelle went on to say. You know, spending the summer out at the ranch to help her mother. Maddie Brown also appeared on the television screen. The location feels like home to them, particularly after a few transfers. Wyoming is most likely the closest we have to roots, says Maddie to the audience. Its residents. It was easy for Janelle and Kody to pick Garrison's final resting place since they went there every summer, and it was as if you went to the ranch to learn how to work. In addition, Kody would say that I just want to take him home. To which I would say, okay, well, I see that. Where did the Sister Wives clan come from? Say what? Kody was raised and born in Lavelle, Wyoming. Furthermore, he attended high school there and witnessed his parents' difficulties with polygamy. Only a few of the older children were born in Wyoming, in which Meri Brown, Janelle Brown and Christine Brown, his first 3 wives, later lived, but ultimately moved to Lehi, Utah. We have no idea why they settled in Utah, but we know Cody likes making sudden relocations around the country. It has been estimated that there are around 38,000 fundamentalist Mormons who practice polygamy statewide in Utah. Cody and his wife were thus just a few among these members. Brown's decision to enter in the middle of the night was a third-degree felony in Utah, though charges for bigamy are seldom pressed against polygamists. The fans were worried that Cody was under investigation by the local police while they discovered. In Season 1, Cody also said that cohabitation might land him in jail. They shared one house with multiple rooms then. Cody was convinced that relocation to Las Vegas was the safest thing to do for his family, although several years later the local police expressed they never actually had an ongoing investigation. Despite being settled in, Cody outrageously upset all but everyone by deciding to move the entire family to Flagstaff, Arizona some years later. How is the Sister Wives family coping after Garrison Brown passed away? In March 2024, Garrison died. He was just 25. Sister Wives fans quickly learned that the cat lover took his own life after a night of drinking and depression. The next morning, Garrison's brother Gabriel Brown found him. Garrison died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, as stated in the Coquino County Medical Examiner's post-mortem report, and it was concluded that he had committed suicide. Garrison also had alcohol poisoning or ethanol intoxication. The legal limit in Arizona, as the autopsy reports, is 0.8%, but Sister Wives star's blood alcohol content was 307%. Anything over 0.4% is considered potentially fatal. Cody and Janelle released a joint social media statement at the time of his death. It stated, "Cody and I regret to inform you of the passing of our beautiful son Robert Garrison Brown. To all who knew him, he was a joy. We will be left speechless by the space our loss will leave in our lives. To make the heartache even more bitter, Garrison and Cody never made up. So we respectfully ask that you respect our privacy and join us in remembering him." The patriarch is now trying to make amends with himself in the latest episode. The latest episode of the hit reality show didn't pull punches. It laid bare the soul of a woman grappling with the unbearable and offered an unflinching, emotionally raw glimpse into a tragic time in one family's life. The recent events were nothing short of appalling for those who have watched this family's story unfold through times of change, heartache, and triumph. This episode chronicled the tearful goodbye to a beloved son whose absence now fills every moment of the family's life. As the matriarch, calm and grounded, carried the weight of loss for herself and everyone who looked to her for comfort. Cameras rolled. Always famous for her unflappable stability, the woman at the center of the storm chose to speak candidly about her loss. She relived the haunting phone call that shattered her world, a call that no parent ever wants to receive. She finally found ways to voice her grief as the seasons passed and the pain only slightly diminished. Fans have watched her evolve over time, admiring the deep dignity with which she weathered this tragedy. She used social media to post her heartfelt thanks to everyone who had reached out after the program ended. "It's taken time," she said, "but I've come to terms with the truth that we gave it our all. Sometimes, no matter how hard you fight, the battle within a loved one can be too silent, too secret." She spoke with the force of someone who has spent many nights trying to understand why. She thought about her recent visit to the city, which holds a lot of memories. "Walking the streets, sitting in our favorite places, I felt him everywhere. It's obvious to me now that I need to start again somewhere else. Each shadow, each wind whisper reminds me of him. And though that provides some comfort, it also opens the wound." Viewers learned more about the young man whose presence had already held their screens entranced with promise and ambition up until this point from the show's perspective. Like so many others, he had struggled to fit in following a global crisis. His mind was also affected by the isolation, disruption of routine, and overwhelming uncertainty. Always forthcoming, his mother disclosed that there had been instances where his ordeal was evident. Glimpses of mental fragility and periods of binge consumption were markers that he was fighting demons he could not always recognize. However, she chose to remember him for the joy he brought to their lives, and not for the hardships. She explained how her grandchildren, the young ones who now carry with them remnants of him, make her meaningful. "They remind me that there is still light to be discovered." She said, "Even in the darkest sorrow there's hope, and through my faith I think I'll hold him again someday. That belief is my anchor." Layers that had been hidden for far too long were revealed in this episode. She replayed the scenes of that final day with the assistance of her daughter, a woman who had inherited her mother's kindness and strength. Mother and son had talked a lot, a daily ritual they both observed. As she said, "We had messaged one another all day. That was our normal. He'd check in, I'd respond. We kept each other close even when we were apart. It hadn't seemed out of place that evening." There were no portentous signals or warning signs. In a hushed tone she spoke of him needing connection, and I attempted to provide it every opportunity I had. She hadn't lost her composure when night descended, and the quiet stretched longer than usual. She knew the trends and swings in his emotional state. He had sometimes and often with the assistance of drink disappeared into the mist of his thoughts. She explained he had moments when things seemed level, then out of nowhere he'd tumble. It was part of his journey, one that we were attempting so desperately to assist him along. The realization that 2 of her other children had planned to see him before she retired to bed that night brought her a small measure of peace. They had tried to keep a protective cordon around their brother, an unwritten understanding. However, by dawn all was altered. Her lungs were deprived of air when the news struck her like a thunderclap. The world will never be the same after her son left on his own terms. She held fast her dignity in the face of unimaginable loss. She didn't crack or attempt to lay blame. She chose grace despite the reality that many viewers blamed the man who had lived with her. She would not let resentment cloud memories of their son. Despite the fact that their lives had diverged, and there had been moments when tensions had been extreme, particularly regarding control and differing points of view, they made the tough decisions together. Following their visit to the funeral home and discussion of the arrangements, they finalized the resting place that seemed befitting. The place they selected was filled with memories, a place where generations of their family had enjoyed peace, and where laughter had once echoed. Her statement, "We knew he loved it there," it felt like the only place that made sense. They made the choice to be cremated after much deliberation and not in haste. It allowed them flexibility, allowing them to plan the ceremony for a less hectic time of year that would be convenient for everyone's calendars and emotional readiness. It gave us time to breathe, she believed, time to prepare, time to really honor him. The same went for her ex-partner. He remembered sitting beside her, the 2 of them both tired out, and simply saying, "I want to take him home." They were held together at that moment by one thing. Their love for their child never wavered, no matter what had earlier torn them apart. Under a sky he used to admire, they chose to lay him beside another beloved family member. Many people have still judged her ex-husband for some of his previous decisions that may have contributed to the young man's pain. There had been conflict with disagreement arising from stern rules and requests that were exceptionally divisive in times of the worldwide health crisis. There had even been threats to separate it and send the young man away at one time. The recollections of those experiences were now more important than ever before. However, she stood firm. She remained her children's shining light, the calm center of the storm. She was resolute because she embraced her sorrow instead of attempting to deny it. From acknowledging the magnitude of her loss, yet still making the choice to get out of bed each day and be present for the individuals who remained, her experience of grief became a testament to the fierce, unwavering and boundless love of a mother. Only bits and pieces of the tale were recorded by the cameras. The real story was spoken in the silence. How she ceased when she walked by his beloved spot, how she wept when she thought nobody was watching, and how she whispered about him to her grandchildren. Her healing wasn't linear. There were days when the weight was too great, and she gasped for air as memories engulfed her like waves. But she persisted. She cooked dinners, told stories and planned short trips with her daughters. She cut flowers he once enjoyed and planted a garden. She listened to his music, lit candles and kept diaries. She kept his spirit alive in her own way by integrating it into her new life. She retained her basic humanity throughout it all. Not a sign, not a heroine, but a bereaved mother, mourning her child in the only way she could, sincerely, gracefully, and with an unshakable will to live on. The show may alter. There may be changes due to the seasonal change with more challenges, lighter moments, and fresh stories. Yet all who watched will never forget this chapter or the sorrowful loss. It was a powerful reminder that there are real people experiencing very real suffering behind every plot and scene. The premature death of a cherished child has forever altered the family, and the sadness still lingers over them like a heavy fog. Even if the world has merely glimpsed them through reality television, a family struggling to come to terms with unimaginable sorrow is lost behind the cameras and cut-down programs. A voice of a mother has begun tentatively to reveal itself in this sorrow, gently glancing in on the muted, excruciating choices which followed her son's death. Choices such as where he was to rest eternally. For one woman, the answer was as clear as the depth of her sorrow. She would take him home to the land of serene fields, endless summers, and recollections as thick as mountain air, where her own heart remains rooted. The place she chose to plant her son is more than just a dot on a map. It is a repository of family history and events that shaped not only one, but several generations. It lies hidden between steep mountains and rolling fields, and within it lies the remains of others who preceded her, including her own mother, whose grave quietly marks the passage of time. Her ex-partner's father lies nearby. Their lives, once intertwined by marriage and religion, are now inseparable through their proximity beneath Wyoming's open skies. The dry trails and sunny fields of this region were often the backdrop for her son's early summers. It was here that he learned to use his hands and breathe in the smell of fresh sage and hay. He gained grit and accountability from the countryside in a manner that suburban homes could never do. His mother saw how those conditions shaped him more than people actually knew. The place where he first gained a sense of identity and home was also where he needed to go back, not to stay, but to rest in loss's finality. She came to understand that she and her co-parent were never in agreement, although they had a lot of disagreement. There was no disagreement between them regarding bringing their son back to the land that formed him. How swiftly they concurred on this one decision lightened the weight of grief that already clung on her heart. He also realized their son's unspoken connection to the land. There were no high-stakes arguments or haggling, simply a meeting of the minds. This revelation came close to sacred to a man who has fought change more times than he cares to admit. With wisdom in her words that belied her years, their daughter added her voice to the debate. She explained how during lives that were repeatedly disrooted and transferred, the ranch and the great skies became the only real anchor of home for them. They returned year after year as children, not for pleasure, but for work and lessons on life. They were taught to work with purpose and be proud of their efforts there. That place was a touchstone, and not just a memory. So, it was not a complicated choice when it was time to decide on his final resting spot. The father just whispered, "I just want to bring him home." And the mother nodded in silence, promising she would do it. She took her boy home in her trembling hands, and her heart shattered into a million pieces. There is more to this world than dirt and stone. It is where love flowered, dreams were envisioned, and where hard times left their mark on the history of the family. Few beyond their group will ever know the tales it holds in its breeze. It holds pain too, particularly at this moment. It holds peace though, and that was enough for a mother seeking anything to soothe the restless. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Get more updates daily.